Welcome to Rediscover the Verde Valley. I'm Christian Oliva Del Rio with the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce. And with me today is Angie Lozano. She's the Executive Director for Angie's House.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thanks
for hanging out with me.
Thanks for inviting me.
So, Angie, you do a lot of great things in this community, and Angie's House is a big part of that.
Yes.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? How long have you been in the Verde Valley?
Sure.
I mean, the Lozano name is pretty well known.
We've been around for a while,
right?
Yeah. So I was born and raised here, actually born in Cottonwood.
Great.
Grew up in Jerome till I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
So we were actually up there, all my cousins, because all my uncles and my aunts still lived up there. We'd play on the mountains, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was a really great time.
I could imagine growing up here would be a lot of fun.
You could still stay out till 6 in the evening. You were safe. You had the neighbors kind of looking out for you.
Right.
So after 13, I moved down to Clarkdale, and then as I became older, like in my teens, then we moved to Cottonwood.
Right.
But I love this community. I've never moved away.
Yeah.
I have a lot of individuals I went to high school with.
Right, a lot of history,
Yeah, they move on, but I never left. And I'm really glad I didn't.
Right.
Because this community has really grown.
You've seen a lot of changes.
A lot of change, yeah. I remember when we had the first stoplight.
Right.
Seriously, the first stoplight. I mean, that kind of, dates me. But in any case, yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Right, so you went to Mingus and all of that?
Went to Mingus,
right?
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, it's a small community. Everyone knew each other. It was great growing up here.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm really glad I stayed.
Right. So family history, though. Your parents and your dad was involved?
Yeah. Well, my grandparents lived in Jerome. My grandfather and my uncles and my dad also worked in the mines when the mines were still active.
Wow.
And so it's been a long history. And then my dad was here in the Verde Valley, and he was a teacher and then an administrator for the school, so very involved. And my mom was always working. And again, they've really taught me with a great work ethic.
Right.
You know, you can pretty much get anywhere in life, but you do have to work for it.
Right,
So
and
that
you
was
give
wonderful.
back to the community.
Yes,
that's an important part.
And that has always been, ever since I was younger. You know, I kind of look back when I get asked questions of, you know, how did you start doing this, or what made you start doing it? And thinking back, my mom was a real integral part of my social service.
Right.
I mean, she would think, you know, be kind to people.
Right.
Remember, everyone that you see could be a brother, someone's uncle, someone's son. And it's just really neat how my mom kind of shaped me as a younger child, and not realizing that it would affect me as I got older.
Right. You don't see it until you get older and can really appreciate that.
Right. And all about doing for people and just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So yes, I'm pretty blessed.
Well, we appreciate your mom for doing that. We appreciate you for all the things you do around here.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're awesome. So, you know, do you have other family, kids?
Don't have any children except for fur babies.
Fur babies. We talked about fur babies, right? So how many fur babies do you
I've got a lot of little rescues.
Yeah.
They make my life go round. If I didn't have them, I don't know. Like I said, you know, what I do, I love, but it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But believe me, when I come home and that's an unconditional love from them,
at the end of the day, it's just,
at the end of the day, completely releases the stress, because pets, as you know, when you touch them and pet them, release oxytocin and serotonin in your brain.
You told me about that yesterday.
Yes, which is amazing, and it also lowers your blood pressure.
Sure.
And it actually makes your immune system
better. So I should bring my dog with me when I go to the doctor?
I would highly advise it. I would highly advise it.
Great.
But it seriously does increase your immune system.
So, again, talking about your community service, what are some of the other organizations that you're involved with?
Yes,
the Humane Society.
The Humane Society.
Right?
I'm on the board of the Verde Valley Humane Society because of my love for animals, and it's a great organization that does a lot to get them homes and rehabilitated.
Right. You were telling me about just recently they're working through the end of this month or something.
Yes, they were doing Home for the Holidays.
Home for the Holidays.
Yeah, so please come and take a look at the animals. There's cats, there's dogs. Even if you want to foster for a little bit.
Right.
Just to get them out of the shelter for a couple of weeks, we'd be more than happy to have someone come down and do that.
And I've been noticing a lot more Facebook posts and you know, families coming together with adoptions and stuff. So they've been doing a really good job of getting
and our
the word
community
out.
is wonderful. They've opened up, a lot of the businesses have opened up their doors to say, come on in, have an adoption event like Pet Sense. And we've had a couple of other organizations here locally that said, come on in, do a pet adoption, and it's great because it gets the animals out in the public and interacting with families and potential adoptees.
You've just popped something in my brain. I guess the chamber's going to have to step up and have an adoption event, right?
It would be great, yeah. And it's amazing. It's
Okay.
really wonderful, and it's also good socializing for the pets.
Sure.
Because they get out and they're meeting people.
Right.
And that's the neat thing. We have a bunch of great volunteers. They
Right.
walk the dogs every single day.
We
They
couldn't do what we
socialize
do without volunteers, huh?
No,
Right.
isn't that the truth?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
yeah.
can speak for myself
Right.
and my organization
Right.
as well.
So
Yeah.
some of the other ones you're involved with is
Professional Women's Group.
Right.
And we have luncheons quarterly, and then we have PM events every other month opposite the luncheons. It's a great organization for women to socialize, interact. It's also great because it helps you get out into the community, new
Sure.
businesses
Right.
that have come in.
Right.
It's really a great organization.
Making those connections, right? And then the other big one is
National Association of
NAVO,
Women Business
right.
Owners. Yes, and also a great way of interacting with women who are opening businesses, who've
Sure.
had businesses, who
Right.
are currently in a business. It's neat to get together and kind of brainstorm and do masterminds of, well, what can we do to make this better?
Right.
Yeah, so it's a
So
wonderful
how do
way
you
of-
find the time to do this all?
Well, you know, I am really busy.
Yeah.
But I also realize that it feeds my soul.
Right.
It really feeds me.
That's good.
So I thought to
Passionate
myself,
about it, and
yeah,
it helps, right?
it really does. So it's kind of like I empty out a little bit with all the work I do, and then it fills me back up.
And then you go home and love on your fur
on my
babies,
fur
and they
babies.
release.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Great. So tell us a little bit about Angie's House. You know, how did that come about,
Wow,
and
yeah.
why? You know.
It's kind of a unique story. I loved accounting, and so I wanted to go into accounting. My dad always encouraged me to be a teacher because you would have retirement if you had a
Right.
teacher. So I thought, okay, well, I love you, Dad, and I love the fact that you're a teacher, and I think teachers are wonderful, but I really loved accounting.
Right.
So I went.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
but that's kind of weird.
So I really loved accounting, so I went ahead and went to college. And he kept saying, well, you know, you really got to plan for your future. He was
Sure.
a wonderful guy. I always thought about us, you know, in the future.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'll do some rental properties. So I did that. So I went ahead and started purchasing rental properties so that my dad would be not so worried about me as I got older.
Right. Yeah. You'd have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So still, I went to college, you know, graduated, NAU, and got my accounting jobs in various locations, Flagstaff, Cottonwood, Sedona, and finally got my dream jobs of a CFO,
Right.
Chief Financial Officer. Loved it.
Yeah.
Very good pay, and loved it.
Right.
And then I was working for a large organization, large corporation, and they were doing so well
Sure.
that a corporation in Florida wanted
Right.
to merge.
But okay. Yeah.
So we merged, and that was wonderful. And they always tell you, you know, your job's safe. Don't worry about it. We have enough to go for
Right.
2 CFOs.
Yeah.
Well, we only needed 1 CFO, which made
Sure.
which made sense. So I lost my position. The job was eliminated, and I did not want to move to a larger city because my grandparents are still alive. My dad and my mom are still here.
Right.
So
You grew up here.
yeah, I didn't want to move. So I
Yeah.
said, well, I'll go ahead and do my rental properties for a
Okay.
while. So I did that full time, but realized that people were having problems paying. They could pay utilities, but not the rent.
Right.
So then I started to put package deals together where the utilities were included in the rent with
Sure.
a certain fee. That worked for a while for a certain number of residents, but then other residents were still having trouble making the rent.
Right.
Found out it had to do with addiction issues.
Right.
So then I said, okay, well, let me figure that out. Let me create a home that will help them with their addiction issues.
Right.
So it kind of is, whenever there's a situation that arises, I love to find a solution. So that's the fix-it in me that loves to go through it and try to
Yeah.
figure out how can we make this work.
Right. So we kind of touched base on that. You and I had a conversation yesterday about filling the gap, right? And that could be your next tagline, right?
Yes, yes, I love that.
Because that's the truth. That's really
it
what
really
you
is,
do.
because what Angie's House evolved into is now affordable housing.
Right.
And it's individuals who've lived here all their lives. Some of them are you know, senior citizens on fixed incomes that cannot find housing for what their income can afford.
Right.
So it's filling the gap, trying to figure out from getting them from not being homeless to maybe into subsidized housing,
Right.
but a place for them to be while they're getting into
A good
subsidized
place
housing.
to transition
To
into
transition
that next
to,
step.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Important to have a home. If you don't have a place to lay your head at night, it's really hard.
It is, you know, and we kind of touched on that too in our conversations, that, you know, it doesn't take much to find yourself in that position.
Literally.
You know, actually, you could have found yourself in that position with this job transition, right?
Literally, yes.
And I mean, that happens frequently.
Frequently,
unfortunately,
yeah. And
where-
it's even something as small as I have a 71-year-old gentleman who went in for hip surgery.
Right.
Was supposed to be out in a couple of weeks, not a big deal, and then go into a little bit of rehab, had an apartment.
Yeah.
Well, he had complications, so he was in the hospital and rehab for 3 months.
Yeah.
During that time, lost his apartment, and then when he came out, he was technically homeless.
Right.
Now, in his view, he was just without a place to stay for a while. But yeah, it's kind of scary.
But yeah, and then you run into the issue if you don't have family or anything here to help out, that, you know.
Right, because he didn't have anyone to pay the bills while he was in the hospital. Yeah.
Well, Angie, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the services and things that you do, okay?
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, folks. Come see us real soon.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness.
When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
Welcome back to Rediscover the Verde Valley. Again, I'm Christian Oliva Del Rio with the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce, and with me is Angie Lozano from Angie's House. And you know, at the break we were just talking about, you know, how it can happen very quickly. You find yourself in a situation where, you know, you may have lost a job or you have an injury, and those struggles, you know, could really get you into a spot. And we're lucky to have a place like Angie's House.
Well, thank you.
There. And so tell us a little bit more about the houses themselves. You've got like 10 units, right?
Yeah, we have 10 locations currently, and we're working on 2 more.
Right.
Because there's such a need.
Right.
And so that's why I'm
crazy,
working on,
right?
Yeah, it is crazy. But what I try to do is make it really easy. It's simply a phone call. I don't have any application forms that people have to fill out or an email they have to send in, because when someone's needing a place to be, they need it now. They don't need to fill out an application and find out 2 or 3 weeks later, because 2 or 3 weeks later, a lot of deterioration and loss of hope starts to happen.
Absolutely.
So I try to make it as easy as possible, simple phone call away. We have a homeless shelter, and that's usually a quick, you know, same day, as well as my other housing. And that's what I love about what I'm able to provide, is I have different types of housing in a number of locations and pet friendly, that I am able to pretty much help everyone that calls. And if for some reason we're not able to, I can always refer out.
Yeah. So you work with a lot of other agencies here locally.
I'll refer to Verde Valley Sanctuary. Yeah, definitely, and as well as Verde Valley Sanctuary will refer back to us. Right. Yeah, which is really nice.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, which makes it work.
And so again, another conversation that you and I had was about the new homeless shelter that that the city just announced, right? And so how does that work? But that's kind of limited as well, right?
It's limited. And what they have is they have an overnight shelter at the drop-in center, which is great, and that's open when it's 35 degrees or below.
Right.
And that's the check-in, I believe, is 6 o'clock, and they leave at 7 in the morning. Yeah. The neat thing with mine is, fortunately, we keep ours open 365 days a year, hot and cold, and then it's, you know, the check-in is at 6 o'clock.
Right.
But it's nice to always have an additional.
Absolutely. Because and it, like you said earlier too, it's the need is there.
The need is there.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And it can be something as simple as someone coming into town thinking they could find a rental quickly, realizing that it wasn't so quick. They stayed in a hotel 2 or 3 nights. And granted, the hotels are great. I have friends that own hotels here, and they're wonderful establishments.
Sure.
But the money's so limited that the money drifts away
that was something that really surprised me, and I didn't even think about in you filling that gap, is that, for instance, we had the new director for Verde Valley newspapers that came into town and didn't have a place to rent because the inventory is very low right now for rentals.
Right.
And you're a solution to that potential problem because they could come in.
Exactly. And I've actually had quite a few people who have come in to purchase a home. They have, you know, they have it's ready. They've been pre-approved. Everything's a go. But waiting to find it and don't want to really stay in a hotel.
Right.
And there's no rentals available at the moment, so they've stayed with me a couple of months while they're, you know, getting ready to buy their home.
My wife and I are actually in the process of selling our home and buying a new home, and we're worried about the closing date now. We were going to switch over. I just might come spend a couple of weeks with you.
Good deal. Good deal.
So, all right. So the neat thing about your homes too. So you have opportunities for just men or just women?
Yeah, so we have the homeless shelter, which is co-ed and pet friendly.
Right.
Then I have men's homes and women's homes. Right. And those ones, people can come in with no income, no job, and we get them back up on their feet. We have a lot of individuals there who are working on their recovery, so there is an actual program and a schedule that the men and women follow to get themselves, you know, back into recovery. But a lot of individuals are using my homes as affordable place to live. A lot of people are coming in, men and women, have jobs, don't have any addiction issues, but are staying because it's affordable.
Right, yeah, and that's a big issue. You know, we were also talking about that we've had quite a few conversations about that. But right, you know, what is considered affordable housing, really most of the time is not.
It's not.
And that's frustrating, and
because when you're working
discouraging. Right.
40-hour-a-week job, you're doing everything right. You're paying your bills.
Yeah.
You don't have an expensive car. You're just wanting to just make ends meet. And when you can't find housing that can fit within your budget, it is discouraging.
Yeah, because it's not just a matter of paying the rent or the mortgage. It's all the other things that come with it, food and utilities. And we're finding in most cases that rentals are on the low end $1,200 a month, right?
And that doesn't include,
and they go up from there, right? And that doesn't include anything else.
Yeah, which makes it nice about what my housing provides is everything's included.
Right.
Utilities, Wi-Fi, cable, and a lot of my residents will say, "Why would I leave?
Why would I?"
I love it.
And in a lot of cases, the furnishings, right? And that was something else that I found was just incredible. Was that they can move in and not have to worry about anything, linens. Kitchen utensils.
Everything completely. The kitchen's completely stocked, as well as the bedrooms are completely. Yeah, it was simply a move-in. Bring yourself and your clothes, which is really helpful because a lot of times
it is. You find yourself right.
Yeah, right
in that spot. So, okay. So Angie's House is a 501c3, right? And so, you know, how can people help or contribute?
No, we're always open to donations, twin-size sheets, blankets, pillows, and they can be used. We're not, you know, we don't need new ones. We also are encouraging any type of meals, especially right now that it's a little cold. It's always nice to have something warm in your tummy. They can be dropped off at the shelter, or any type of leftovers. So if you make a big pot of spaghetti and you don't want to eat it for 7 days, drop it off at the shelter.
People want a warm meal. It goes a long way to your heart and your soul to have good food in you, right?
Exactly. So, and right now we're having a drive. We're having a Share the Warmth drive.
Right.
Coats, hats, scarves, blankets, and it can be dropped off at the Chamber of Commerce, graciously offered by you, as well as 413 North 15th Street, which is our shelter.
Yeah, it's excellent. So if you've got any blankets, jackets, scarves, hats, we were trying to look for a catchy phrase, but I don't know how you can say that real catchy, right? But a Share the Warmth event is really important, especially going into this winter months through December and January especially. We want to be able to keep people warm.
Exactly. And then I want to add that we are a qualifying organization, so our Arizona tax credit, that's a dollar-for-dollar credit on your Arizona state income taxes.
Yeah.
So please think of us. I know there's a lot of great organizations out there, but please think of us while you're doing it.
Excellent. It's important to give back to the community here, and it's such a worthy cause that you are trying to tackle here.
Yeah.
So please, you know, if you can work with your tax accountants and make a donation, it goes a long way, right?
Because we kept our homeless shelter open for the last 2 years with the tax credit.
Wow,
which
that's
is
incredible,
great.
right?
Yeah.
So then obviously you have Facebook. Facebook is facebook.com/Angie's House AZ. And the website is angieshouseaz.com, right? And then of course, your phone number if somebody wanted to call.
928-301-2169, and don't hesitate to call.
Right,
Yeah.
it's a great
Even for
way to
questions, or if you think that someone might need some help in the future.
Sure.
I'm really big on giving advice to help them not become homeless.
Right.
There's a lot of agencies out there that can help you prior to becoming homeless, because it makes it harder once you are homeless. It makes it a little bit more difficult. Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more.
Great.
Okay.
Sounds
Thanks. All right. We'll see you in a minute.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness.
When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
Welcome back to Rediscover the Verde Valley. I'm Christian Oliva Del Rio with your Cottonwood Chamber, and again with me is Angie Lozano from Angie's House. And it just amazes me, the things that you're doing out there, Angie.
Oh, thanks.
You know, it's sad that there is such a need, but we're blessed that there are people like you out there trying to help out.
Well, thank you, because it gives me a good feeling to be able to help.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, recent news. We kind of touched on the fact that you were looking to do 2 more houses.
Two more,
right?
two more locations, and the reason for that is because there is such a need, especially for individuals just looking for the affordable housing.
Right.
So someone who can come in, everything's included. They pay one fee. They're on a fixed income, whether it be disability or Social Security, and they can get right in. And a lot of them have pets, and we're pet friendly, which is huge for them.
That is huge, because it's again another conversation you and I were having was that our fur babies are part of the family,
They are part of the family.
To add that other level of stress and not being able to bring your pets or to have to give them away or find shelter for them.
Right. It would be devastating for a lot of my residents if they couldn't bring their little fur babies with them. Yeah.
So another facet of that is that our elderly, they really do qualify and could use a lot of your help.
Yes,
right?
and in fact, a lot of my residents now are people who are over 60.
Right.
Most of them are over 55, but over 60, 65 are the current residents that I am housing. And the neat thing about what we can do is a lot of them don't have vehicles because they're on such fixed incomes.
Sure.
So we have a van that takes them to the different food banks, takes them shopping, takes them to appointments if they need to get to and from. So what we try to do is provide a service that they need.
Right.
And again, in that population that I'm currently working with, there's a baby boomers who don't like to ask for help.
I know, right?
So
they want to have that sense of independent living. But the other nice thing too is that most of your facilities are within walking distance of bus stops.
Of everything. We're literally within about a 5-minute walking distance of every bus stop.
Right.
And
so the CAT system is great for them to use.
Great system, as well as being centrally located.
Right.
Location is really a big deal.
It is.
Because we're located close to the library, to the post office, to all the grocery stores.
Tap into other resources as well,
to the Department of Economic Security, Goodwill. We're close to everything, literally walking distance, which makes it really nice. Yes, very fortunate.
So another area that I found that was very interesting on your website was, the 12 questions, right? So these are things that, I probably didn't really think about, but these are important things for people to know, right?
They are important, like we were talking about, like location.
Yeah.
Is it furnished? Yes, where it's 100% furnished. And if you want to bring something special and make it, more your home, you're more than welcome to do it. But we completely furnish everything. close to bus stops. We're pet friendly. All utilities are included, Wi-Fi,
and
cable.
Wi-Fi, right.
Yeah, which is a big deal because unfortunately sometimes the prices can be pretty high.
Right, you can't afford those things when, you're trying to focus on making rent.
Exactly, and you need to stay connected. And even when you're looking for a job, you have to do it online.
Right.
When you're applying for benefits or checking your benefits, you have to do it online.
Right.
So there's a lot of, it's a big plus to have Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi is there, and then like you said, so furnishings and everything, laundry facilities too?
Facilities on site,
Right.
and try to make it as convenient for them as possible. Yeah.
Okay. What are generally, move-in costs that you think about?
Yeah, well, with the individuals who don't have employment in men and women's homes, they come in with no amount. With the other ones that are as affordable housing, it's literally just the 1 month.
Yeah.
1 month. There's no deposits.
Right.
There's no cleaning fee. There's no key fee. Just the 1 month.
That's huge. It really, again, you don't really think about it until you're in that situation, but it really could be as simple as, like you were saying, when your company got bought out and all of a sudden you're out of a job,
right?
And you don't know where you're going to go next,
exactly.
right? Luckily, you had family around you that could support you and help you out.
Right.
But not everybody has
is that
luxury.
Fortunate, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And then we also have the weekly rent, which is nice. So if you do have employment, but let's say you're not getting your paycheck for another 2 weeks, it's just by the week.
Right.
I try to make it as easy as possible. Yeah. And like I said, that's why I love what I'm doing. I am filling the gap. I am filling a need.
Right.
But it's also helping them continue to put back into our economy by working.
Right.
This way they can continue to save their jobs, because as soon as you start losing your housing, that's when a lot of other things start to trickle.
Right, it does.
Down.
It does. And it's important to keep that morale up.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Right. So another organization that you're kind of involved in, that the Chamber is involved in, we've been working with Habitat for Humanity as well, and MapForce is the Cottonwood Cares program, right?
Right, and we're also involved with that as well.
Yeah, Chief Gazelle's been a real big
proponent
of that.
He's a great supporter, and really great with the way he looks at our individuals who are in the criminal justice system, whether it be misdemeanor or felony, and it's about providing them housing.
Yeah.
And it's really great when we sat down and we talked about it when he first came into town, and wonderful wisdom that he had, and we just both put our heads together and said, hey, and he said, I said, housing. He said, yeah, that's a good piece. And just
he gets it.
Yeah,
he gets it, and he realizes that you're a good gap filler there, right?
Yeah,
so,
and it was really neat, because he said to himself, and we talked, and we're like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And I love that when someone says, let's do it, even when they say it's impossible.
Right.
That's what I love.
But that's the thing, is when he says, let's do it, he does it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
he
again, you're like that as well.
And he carries through. So it's been great. And we've had a lot of success stories on having individuals who would normally be doing some petty misdemeanor crimes get out of jail, instead of repeating it and going right back in because they're homeless.
You give them a resource.
Yeah, they come right to the house. We actually do a warm handoff, which is we pick them up, bring them to the house, get them set up. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And we've had success stories.
You see some lives change.
Oh gosh, we had one individual named Michael, and he really just...
I know Michael.
Yeah, he really just did a wonderful transition.
Yeah.
And he even
said, that's a great success story.
He even said, I can't believe, Angie, I'm doing this.
I know.
So it was wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's talk a little bit more about, these important events and dates and ways for people to get a hold of you. We are really wanting to push share the warmth.
Yes.
So people, it's important for you to give jackets, scarves, blankets,
hats,
socks.
Socks.
Things
really
you don't really think about. And you can drop those things off at the Chamber office, as well as the
413 North 15th Street, which is our shelter.
Street, right. And if you've got any questions about Angie's House, the great phone number is
928-301-2169.
Right.
And don't hesitate to call.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's always resources on the website. I went through your website and found out a lot about the great things that you do, and good resources there, and that's angieshouseaz.com.
Yes.
And Facebook as well. You're always posting great things there. So facebook.com, Angie's House AZ. And I can't say it enough, Angie. We truly appreciate everything that you're doing in this community, and taking care of the people that need it here.
And it's my community, and you know, a lot of times people will say, well, they need to do it. Well, who's they? We're they.
We're they.
Yeah.
You know, you were sharing too that, you know, we have this kind of community here that really does step up, huh?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, share, tell us about.
Let me tell you this neat story. We just recently had 6 little dogs in the shelter, homeless shelter. They were, you know, didn't have any coats and
they came
things
in
like
with
that.
a family, right?
Came in with three different actual families.
Right.
One of them had 3 little chihuahuas they were carrying in a backpack.
Yeah.
Okay, they were literally all homeless. I mean, it was an instantaneous thing that happened. They wouldn't expect it. Reached out on Facebook for jackets and sweaters and possibly a used stroller. Oh my gosh, outpouring of dog food, jackets, sweaters, little beds, and then someone actually purchased a stroller for them.
We do have a great community.
We
here
have
in
a
the
great
Verde Valley.
community.
They really do step up in times of need. So.
They do. Just wonderful. That's why I love it. I'm glad I never left.
Yep. Me too. So another quick little note is that December 18th, the Chamber office is having a holiday cheer, coffee, cocoa, tea, and goodies, and anything that we have there, we will definitely be donating as well to Angie's house. So.
I'm showing up for the holiday cheer.
Yes, you got to come hang out with us.
Definitely.
And we'll have boxes in place and whatnot, so if you want to donate blankets and coats and whatnot, again, share the warmth with our neighbors that are in need, and bring it all to the Cottonwood Chamber office.
Great.
We appreciate it, and we want to wish you all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all of the above, right?
Exactly.
Thank you again, Angie. We sure do appreciate you.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you, folks, for watching. Have a great holiday season.